Hey, in this episode of Doc's Boost, we're going to be talking about the P2004 and P2005 DTC codes that are popping up on the 07 Pegs Pony right here. So what you may be feeling because of that engine wants to die or dies every time you come to a stop, and you're using a little more gas than usual. But that stalling or stuttering or stalling at the stop is going to be a dead giveaway, and it's going to be frustrating as hell. I can guarantee you that. You may know those P codes as intake control manifold, intake charge manifold control, the manifold butterfly valve, or the intake manifold runner control valve, or something very similar to that. Basically a series of butterfly valves controlled by a module at each of the ports as the air moves into the cylinder heads. Those P codes mean those butterfly valves aren't butterflying anymore. Something is stuck open or closed, or they're just inoperative. The only way to take a look at it and really inspect the operation and whether those clips are in place is to take off the manifold. And that's what we're going to do. You can see I already have my gloves on. We're going to jump right into this operation and start taking off the intake manifold. So one of the first things that we're going to do is we got to take this off and disconnect these connectors, and then move along the side and disconnect everything that's attached to the manifold. Hoses, fuel rails, electrical connections, whatever that might be, that's what we're going to do first. All right. We are now going to disconnect all of the connections for the fuel injectors, and we have to cut these off of there because they've been on and off a few times, and the brittleness of the plastic has broken the clip on there, so we have to cut them off. So you may or may not find any of those zip ties on your connectors, but I do on mine, and I'll have to put them back once we finish the job to make sure that the injector connectors do not simply fall off. Alright, we got those out of the way. So, disconnect that out of the way. And we have another connector back here that we are going to attempt to disconnect. I think it's easier to do that from the other side. Okay, got it off the connector and disconnected. Disconnect that. Disconnect the fuel regulator valve. And we are now going to disconnect all of the fuel injectors on that side. Okay. With that all moved out of the way, we have this to disconnect. Let's see if we can get underneath it. Nope, gonna have to have a screwdriver for that job. or a pick. Now, using a screwdriver or a pick, we have to get underneath of that clip. Don't lose that clip. I don't want to break that clip. I don't know what's holding it in. Oh, you just got to press it. My bad. Hey, we're all learning here. Then we have this other connector here. There we go. That hose is a little stiff. Had to make sure that I got a hold of this guy right here. Disconnect this out of the way. We are now going to take these two off and the same off on the other side as well to get the fuel rails out of the way. That's a 8mm. Yes sirree, it is an 8. And we'll be able to lift the injectors out of there. Let's wiggle these suckers and they should come right out with no problem. I guess we can keep them together and bring them over to the other side. No sense in disconnecting. If we don't have to disconnect it, my motto is don't. So we'll just set that stuff off to the side. And now what we're after is we have several bolts to take off. We got this one and this one and this one, the one right back there, and there's one right down the middle there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each side, and we should be able to take the manifold right off. These are 10mm. Okay, now I think we're ready to pull that thing off. Yep, we are. Oops, something's connected. Oh, we forgot one hose. Let's see what we got here. Hose connected to the brakes. We'll take it off there because it seems like it's the easier place to take it off at. It's not that heavy, it's just awkward. And there it is. Let's get our socket out of there before we move on. And anything else that we find down there that doesn't need to be down there. So there's what it looks like when the manifold is off. Easy peasy. I knew this was going to be a smooth job. So far, not one hitch, and I love that. Frustration free. Let's go take a look at the manifold. These are the blades, the manifold charge blades. Or manifold charge manifold management system is what that is. Just a series of butterflies controlling some air to the cylinders. So without that, you're going to get that stumble and stall if these things aren't working properly. Oh, we will do our best to try to pry that sucker off as best we can. We'll use some snap ring pliers to push it off. I got the tab pushed. It still feels like it's pretty well stuck on there. There we go. No connections seem to be burnt. All the rods are connected. But it is definitely not working. Probably end up buying another unit right here. I think If available, they're going to be about 150 bucks, give or take. We'll see if we can't find one around town. Hopefully we'll get some luck in that. And we'll see if we can't find some more gaskets. These are just rubber gaskets. We'll try to get those. Even though they look fresh and good, they're probably reusable. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get some new ones. We'll put some new ones in there. Well, now that I got the parts from Amazon today, I took a little time off because there was nothing available locally. Everything was on national back order. So I went out on Amazon, found me a controller, got me some injector seals, and some new gaskets to go on the manifold. I've already kind of loosely put it in place. I put the arms in place and attached what they call guides or special tools to pop in there to make sure that the blades stay in alignment while I tighten down the controller. So with the 8mm nut drive and the arms in place and the locks in place, I am going to tighten down the bolts. Putting the clips in here, making sure that these arms don't fall off. They call them E-clips because they look like an E. They're E-clips. So, not an eclipse, an E-clip. And now these locks can come out. Make sure that everything is where it needs to be. And the next step will be to place those gaskets. These guys. Tedious job. I'll be back after I get all of these gaskets in place. We are now ready to have this thing go back on. Holes for the injectors. Get them cleaned out. Ready to rock and roll. So we are ready to put this back in place. Simply drop it down in there. It's got a clean shot right on down in there. And there it is, in place. Sticking the bolts in, all the holes. Alright, now let's get these things tight. Let's make sure we get some of these vacuum lines plugged in so we don't, and the connector back here to make sure we do not forget. Alright, let's plug in some electrical connectors here, and then we're going to go to plugging in, or replacing rather, the O-rings on the injectors. So we're going to do the passenger side first, and once we get the O-rings in place there, we're going to come over and do the O-rings on the driver's side. And now I have to replace the zip ties on my injector connectors. You probably don't have to do this unless your connector clips are broken like mine were. After all, the car is a 07 and some of that plastic can get pretty brittle. That looks like we got all of it reconnected. We just need the air intake. That time for some cold air. get that first clamp in position, same position all the way around. Make sure that this is nice and tight here and up where it needs to be. That's it. It's all good and tight. So we're going to put the car on the ground and clear the codes and then take it for a test drive, see just how the heck it's going to run. I know we nailed it. I really do. We won't have to go far, to be honest with you. I already know that it's going to be great because it wouldn't have been idling already. It would have been erratic as hell. First stop sign and no problem. So we got a winner already. And it runs pretty good. Come to a stop, even a fast stop or kind of fast stop, and we're in. We're good. So there's no problem with performance, and we fixed the P2004 and 2005 issues with replacing that IMRC controller. No problem whatsoever. Smooth, no frustration. First time out, perfect. Hey, while we still have all that excitement going, because I know I'm excited, just take a look at that video I got for you right down there. It's a burnout with the Shelby, and you're gonna love it. I'll see you in that video in just a moment, and thanks for watching.